What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And UFC 303 International Fight Week Pereira versus Prochazka 2 took place a couple hours ago. I've already done my post-card recap, but now we're talking about the next fights to make. I've got 12 fighters on the screen, some winners, couple losers, and I'm going to be matchmaking all of their next fights. I'll say when it should take place, where it should take place, all of that. And yeah, let's get into it, starting with the main event. Alex Pereira got the win. I think he should fight Ankalaev next. Look, I know some people are going to be saying heavyweight, but right now with the space that we've got going on, it just kind of doesn't make any sense. Because think about heavyweight. We've got Jones, Stipe happening in November. We all agree it's a fraudulent title fight, but it's happening. That's technically for the undisputed belt. We got Aspinall and Blades for the interim. After Jones inevitably wins and then dips because he's a coward, then, Aspinall will probably end up fighting someone else. But, I just don't want Pereira to be waiting until after November. I want him to fight in November. And I'm not saying do him versus Jones. I'm not trying to... Because if you're going to do Jones versus someone not named Stipe, it's Aspinall. It just is. It's not... I should... If you're giving me the three fights and saying, okay, out of Aspinall, Pereira, and Stipe, put these in the order that you want to see, I'll go, obviously, Aspinall, Pereira, then Stipe. But we can't be doing, I know there's going to be some people that'll say do the Pereira fight. Not right now. I just don't think it makes sense. Look, if what I say you do is put Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira on the MSG card as, the co-main event, because, yes, actually, no, because you could do that as they're doing a pay-per-view in October in Salt Lake City. You could do it there. I kind of don't like the idea of Pereira fighting at Salt Lake City, though, to be honest. But yeah, you could do Pereira versus Ankalaev sometime later in the year, just not in Abu Dhabi, because we don't want to give Ankalaev that preferential treatment. And yeah, do that fight. I would say do it maybe on the MSG card as the co-main, similar setup to how they were going to do Alex versus Garry and then Jones versus Stipe. And then do that as the co-main, do Jones versus Stipe fraudulent title fight as the main event. And then if Pereira just fucking sleeps Ankalaev in the first, which I really hope he does, then you can be okay, then we can still, even though it would still be ducking Tom Aspinall, then it can be okay, maybe we just do Pereira versus Jones, just make it happen if Jones wants that fight. But right now, I think he needs one more defense, because he hasn't cleared out the division just yet. If he beats Ankalaev, he's cleared out the division, because then he's beaten Garry twice, Blachowicz, Jamal Hill, and Ankalaev. Rakic is coming off a loss, and anyone below that makes no sense. So right now, he needs one more. Once you beat Ankalaev, you've cleared out light heavyweight, you've got 3 title defenses, and then you can go up. Because I still stand by pretty much for every division, unless special circumstances apply, you need 3 title defenses to be able to move up. Volkanovski had to do that when he moved up to fight Islam. Other guys have had to do it. Obviously, some people don't, and they get preferential treatment. I think Pereira needs one more. Look, if they did it, would I complain? No. But I do think you do the Ankalaev fight. You got to get it out the way. Hopefully Ankalaev just gets slept. Hopefully, I think Pereira wins, because let's be honest, it's and the reason I say that is because Ankalaev is a very good grappler, right? But who's he just outright dominating and destroying on the ground? That's anything really that good that also is presents a problem on the feet, because he kind of just wet blanketed Jan Blachowicz in the last 2 rounds after Jan was fucking up his legs. But Ankalaev stands a lot. This guy's got pretty decent striking, and I feel he would then subconsciously just I know sometimes you game plan wrestling, all of that, but sometimes fighters just go out there and forget that they have brains and forget that they should game plan and stick to it, and they just stand. And I feel Ankalaev might just get caught standing for a bit too long, get his legs chewed up early, and then by the time he's oh fuck, I actually have to shoot now, he's got no drive on his legs, Pereira stuffs a couple takedowns, could beat him up on the feet. I could see that. So I don't think this is just some boogeyman matchup. Look, it's Pereira's most difficult fight. I do think so. But that's why we got to see it. We got to see how much this dude can just extend his fucking aura maxing. And I'm him maxing, because if he beats Ankalaev, then he is just him completely. He already is now, but if he beats Ankalaev, then it's okay, yeah, 205 is cooked. Who the fuck else is going to win the belt there? But yeah, let's move on to the loser of the main event. Garry Prochazka, I think he should wait a while. I think he should sit out for a hot minute. arguably not come back this year. I think that's probably what he should do. Come back next year and fight Nikita Krylov. Now, maybe Nikita Krylov is dead at war. We're still not sure. It hasn't been confirmed. You know, my sources, you guys know I've got the sources. My sources are telling me it's not looking good. He might have been caught in the middle of a drone strike in Kiev. That may or may not have happened. Krylov might be dead. But if he's not, if he survived that drone strike, then I think we could be looking at maybe he fights someone else in the meantime. I think he's got to fight down because I think I'm saying this is Yuri's next fight, maybe not Krylov's. No. Look, maybe Krylov needs to be fucking rescued from Ukraine and it's going to be another 6 months before we see him back in there. But if this dude is good to go, I would say, like, all ideal scenario, you book him maybe like August, September. August is pretty soon, so maybe book him like September, October on the Abu Dhabi card. Do him on the Abu Dhabi card in October against someone, I don't know, or you just against like a Bogdan Gushkov, and then the winner of that fights Yuri Prochazka. There you go. So I'm saying you do a fight between Krylov and like Bogdan Gushkov in Abu Dhabi, and then the winner of that fights Yuri, because Yuri does need a step back. I don't want to see this guy chucked in there with fucking Jamal Hill straight away, even though he could still beat Jamal. I just don't want to see this guy against someone with like crazy big power. I know Bogdan's got power, but I'm not saying that's the fight. I'm saying the winner of that, I think he would probably lose to Krylov. Krylov's a little bit too actually like intelligent as a fighter. Not something Bogdan deals well with. But yeah, this is a fight that you could do. Do like Krylov first, fight him in fucking Abu Dhabi or whatever, or do something with him first, or you just leave him out because he's dead at war. But in that case, can we just confirm this rumor and get this fuckhead removed from the rankings, please? If he's literally not with us, if he's dead, then I don't think we should have a dead person in the rankings. Like, I know we got to pay tribute, pay respect, but I think we can get him out the rankings. Because this guy hasn't fought since March last year. He subbed Ryan Spann, which has aged not that well, and then just dipped. Like, where's this guy been? I might do a whole fucking documentary video. Where has Nikita Krylov been? The disappearance of Nikita Krylov. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to see it. But what the fuck? Anyway, let's move on. Diego Lopez went through a whole crock of shit to get to the fucking cage. Went through about 17 different opponents, 12 different weight cuts, and about 13 fucking different approvals from the fucking Nevada State Athletic Commission. But he made it to the cage, finally, after weighing in at like 3 different weights. Fights a second opponent. Dan Ige stepped up. I've got him included here too because I wanted to pay respect to the man. I'm like, bro, fair play. You stepped up. You'll get match made for as well. You're a ranked fighter. You're actually interesting now. You're no longer an NPC. I put Dan Ige in the NPC tier list the other day. He is officially revoked. He's removed. He's out of there. He's no longer an NPC. But Diego Lopez should fight Yair Rodriguez in the Sphere. Now, I think the common casual take here, I'm not saying it's a casual take, but I think the common, like, no thought take will just be like, oh yeah, rebook the Ortega fight. I'm here to tell you, Ortega's just going to move up to 55. Unless the UFC forces him to stay and says, like, no, we now want you to get smoked by Lopez. But even that, I think the UFC might just be like, this is not worth our trouble. We don't want, like, I'm not saying that if they rebooked it, Ortega would miss weight again, but, like, if he had a full camp. But it seems like this guy just doesn't fucking want to be fighting at 45. He wants to fight at 55. He seemed fucking pissed off to have to cut weight. He seemed real down and shit. He looked terrible on the scale. And it's like, I know, short notice, right? But Lopez was short notice. He fucking cut weight all the way down to 45. You couldn't even make it to 150. Had to fight at 55. So Ortega, just go up. Honestly, I don't care about this guy at featherweight. He pisses me off at featherweight because he actually fights good opposition and then just fucking out-chins his way to a win. And I'm worried that if they rebook the Lopez fight, he would just like be like, sometimes the best defense is no defense, and just like get fucking dropped and then win somehow, because that's how Brian Ortega works. It's very frustrating. But I think just send Ortega to lightweight, send that bum ass to lightweight. I didn't put him in the video because it would take up space, and I wanted to include this video for like actual fighters that fought on the card and didn't pussy out. I'm not gonna say, like, I don't know, maybe it was really bad, maybe it was real sick. But yeah, do Ortega for some kind of lightweight. Do Lopez versus Yair in the Sphere. Dana White's like, yep, sure, this dude can get on that Sphere card. Do him versus Yair. Mexican versus Mexican, Brazilian, former Mexican. But This is a banger. I think Lopez does beat him. I think some people might be confused by that. Lopez is just going to tackle him. Yair's got fucking no takedown defense. Dan Ige is actually a very solid guy who does have good anti-wrestling earlier on in the fight. Lopez did look like he got tired, but bro, what the fuck you expect? This dude went through so fucking much to even get this fight done and be like, okay, yeah, I'm actually fighting this dude now at this weight. So I don't blame Lopez for not looking the best in the third, but first and second, he looked great, took him down, and Ige's not a guy that just gets ran through, ever. No one's finished this dude. It just doesn't happen. So I'm not going to criticize Lopez for the performance. I think do him versus Yair on the Sphere, Mexican Independence Day, this would be a banger. I think Lopez tackles him. Yair's got no takedown defense. And I think Yair's an easier fight than Ortega. But let's move on to the next matchup. Dan Ige. I think he deserves a bit of a jump up. Now, I'm saying Lerone Murphy. Some people might not know. Lerone Murphy in the UFC rankings is actually a jump up. Dan Ige is going to move down to number 14 after this because Lopez will go above him. I would say that, and Lerone Murphy's number 11 in the UFC rankings. So, what is going to happen is I think he wants to fight on the Sphere also. I mean, if they got room on the card, by all means. I'd prefer this over just some random unranked Mexican just because they want to fill a fucking quota. But no, Dan Ige versus Lerone Murphy's a sick fight. On the feet, this shit's a banger. I wouldn't actually know who to pick, to be honest, because Murphy looked great against Barboza, don't get me wrong, but Barboza's a guy that can be beaten, and we kind of saw that, Murphy, he looked great, but in a lot of his fights, he doesn't look anything spectacular, and usually Ige's that guy that's yeah, if you ain't, definitely top 10 caliber, I'm sleeping your ass. That. Or in the case of Landwehr, dropping you twice and then just beating you by decision. Because you can't kill Landwehr at this stage because he's too retarded. But Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige, this shit's a banger, yes or no? I looked down the rankings, Ige's fought so many fucking guys because he's that much of a BMF. He's fought a bunch of guys already. Who's this guy fought? He's fought Emmett, he's fought Cater, he's fought Lopez now, he's fought fucking more guys than that. I just can't remember more off the top of my head, but you know what I mean. Ige's fought a lot of guys. He's fought Bryce Mitchell too, fought Barboza. Ige's been around, man. Ige's been around. Call him Layla Machado because, he's been around the block. Not in the same way, though. But, yeah, Dan Ige, credit to the man, showed up on, fucking 3 hours notice. Massage Dan Ige, new mythical fighter, bro was getting his massage, and then he just rocked up, pulled up in the car, and then just has to go fight a man. I respect it. Bro's living the life. So yeah, do him versus Lerone Murphy on the Sphere card, I guess, because Dana said he's down to get him on there. But also, if they want to keep him, I think it's kind of mean for you to be like, oh yeah, step up and fight Lopez on 3 hours notice, and then you got to go fight in less than a month against Chepe. Don't get me wrong, if they do that fight, sick, because that's the only fucking interesting fight on that card, coming up. But it's kind of mean. Maybe you push that fight back a little bit. Maybe you push that fight back. Maybe if they can't get a ranked opponent for him, you could do Chepe on the Sphere card. That works too. Do that as a prelim fight. But yeah, regardless, still, great scrap from the two of them. And this would also be a good scrap with Lerone Murphy. Well, let's move on to another fighter. Roman Dolidze. I hate this man so much. He pisses me off. Do him versus Hernandez, right? So I got two picks. I'm not going to show the other one on screen. If he goes back to middleweight, go feed him to Hernandez. Get him beat. This guy's clearly not top 10 caliber at middleweight. Somehow he's ranked there, though. If he stays at light heavyweight, do him versus, fucking Reyes or, Johnny Walker or some shit like that, I guess. But I'm sorry, Johnny Walker, if you lose to Roman Dolidze, it's over for you. If Roman Dolidze catches you, if Roman Dolidze fucking knee bars you and then KOs you on the feet, if Roman Dolidze hits you with the fucking Phil Hawes special, then you're cooked. Just leave the sport and quit. Just kill yourself at that point. Go into the fucking woods with Yuri and just commit seppuku. But we're getting too far with that one. But, yeah, Roman Dolidze, I say do Hernandez. This is because the smart career move would be to stay at light heavyweight because light heavyweight sucks and you're a new name in the division and there's new matchups for you. Because at middleweight, your ceiling has been very clearly proven and no one thinks anything of you. Because you've got tuned up by a Mavov, you lost to Vittori, no one cares about you. So, you should stay a light heavyweight, but if I'm saying what I want to see from him next, yeah, I want to see him lose. So, go fight Hernandez. You could just run him versus fucking Bogdan Gushkov, though, but I'm worried he might just take him down. Anyway, let's move on to Anthony Smith, my most hated man from this card. I hate this man. On paper, I hate him. And guess what? We're on paper here, boys. This is not like when Anthony Smith says, on paper I beat all these guys, on paper Jones isn't good, but we just aren't on that piece of paper. No. On paper, I hate Smith. We're on that fucking piece of paper. I hate this man so much. He cost me my 13-0 sweep of the card. Otherwise, I would have swept this fucking card. I hate him. I hate you. I hate you, Anthony Smith. You suck. But what else? Yeah, do him as Reyes. Just because this is what I said after Reyes beat Jacoby. Not the only thing I said after Reyes beat Jacoby, if you know, you know. But Dominic Reyes, yeah, I said to do this fight. Dominic Reyes will kill him at this point. Like, originally I was like, maybe somehow Anthony Smith flukes it, but no. What the fuck is Smith going to do to Dominic Reyes? He's going to lose immediately. So yeah, do this fight. Honestly, like, I would have been like, yeah, fuck him. Just like, feed him to Wahlberg, get him beat, get him KO'd. But at this point, it's almost like too... It's not like, I'm all here to see Anthony Smith get slept, but it's like, I want to see actually Wahlberg get a step up and a jump up in competition. And I just don't think that would happen with Anthony Smith. So yeah, do Smith versus fucking Reyes, get him killed. Let's move on though, down the card. Garry got the win by decision. Do him versus Colby. Enough yapping. Let's make this fight happen. Enough yapping, make it happen, bro. That should be a new saying. It's a new saying on this channel for me when I'm getting mad at people ducking, bro. Enough yapping, make it happen. But Colby, quit yapping, bro. Quit ducking. I don't even know if you are ducking. But if you're not, then take the fight. Garry deserves a top 5 fight now. He was ranked number 7 before this. I think pretty clear, even though it's not the best performance, this guy keeps winning. He's won, I think, like 8 fights or 7 fights in the UFC. Yeah, he's beat Jeff Neal and MVP back-to-back, both great wins. Beat Neil Magny before that, so that's 3 top 15 guys at this point. Good stuff from MVP, or for me and Garry, sorry. I think Colby's the fight. Colby's coming off a loss. Needs to fight down, unlike what he said. Why would I fit down in the rankings? It doesn't even make sense for me. I'm looking for fight for the title. Bilal Muhammad. Ian Machado Ferry. Shut up. Anyway, Colby, I hate this man too. Didn't even fight on the card, but I still hate him. Garry still managing to be as boring as ever, but does still deserve a jump up. Burns fighting Brady, you can't do either of them two. Leon's fighting Bilal, obviously not doing them two. He's not fighting Usman. Shovkat, I wouldn't be opposed to just seeing Shovkat kill him. Wouldn't hate that. Jack's out for a hot minute because of he's got some bullshit infection. So, to be fair, Shovkat ain't bad, but I also don't mind the idea of just waiting a hot minute, doing Shovkat versus Della, clear number 1 contender, and then do Garry versus Colby, and then that can kind of just be like okay, maybe we use this person if we have to. That's what you can kind of do there. But let's move on to MVP. MVP versus Jeff Neal is what I've gone with. Now, look, this is technically a jump up in the rankings for MVP. But Jeff Neal coming off multiple losses, I don't think no one's going to blink an eye at this and be like, oh, he's fighting up in the rankings coming off a loss. It was a close loss. Could have gone either way. Pretty clearly Garry, in my opinion. But still, there's people that say MVP won if you want to be intricate and shit on damage. I thought Garry pretty clearly won based off the back control. But yeah, Jeff Neal versus MVP. I think MVP tunes Jeff Neal up on the feet, to be honest. And if the UFC does give a fuck about him at all, like he's not fighting for a belt, but if they do want to get him into some big fights, you could easily do him against strikers and just make sure, like, don't do this motherfucker versus Brady. Don't do him against like Burns or just take him down. But even Burns might be just so slow that even he could beat him. But I still think this guy beats a lot of guys at welterweight. Not saying he beats like top 5 fighters, but he could still beat some of the lower levels, slower, not as dynamic, not as many tools to work with welterweights. And I think Jeff Neal's one of those. He's got great hands, but we've kind of seen you just aren't going to outstrike this dude. So if you want to get MVP back in the win column, get him a showcase fight, get him a name that people do know, yeah, run this fight. You could arguably finish Jeff Neal as well, to be honest. Let's move on, though, to another fighter. Joe Pyfer, Salty Man Pyfer, Salty Bags. I know he calls himself Body Bags. We're calling him Salty Bags here. But Joe Pyfer got the win. Fight Chris Curtis, to be honest. Curtis is ranked number 15. Not saying this dude deserves to be, like, thrust back in the top 15, but Curtis coming off a loss to Brendan Allen. That's a teammate of Joe Salty Man Pyfer. Brendan Allen, not as salty, but very, like, I don't know what's the word for Brendan Allen, but he's not as salty, but Pyfer has the salt, for sure. Pyfer would be all about that, like, people saw this guy have a close fight with my teammate, really thought he was going to beat me, I'm here to prove you wrong. and then just be like, everyone was doubting me. It's like, you were a minus 300. I don't care. You were picking against me. No one was picking against you. That's the average Pyfer dialogue from his media day. I didn't even watch his media day. But regardless, yeah, Curtis versus Pyfer's a fun fight. Both these two going to swing hands. I think Pyfer probably chins Chris Curtis, to be honest. But maybe doesn't. You know, Curtis got tuned up by Hermansson. That's all I'm saying. Curtis got tuned up for 3 by Hermansson. At least Pyfer won the first 2 based off just doing more, and then Hermansson came on late. But no, I think he would smoke Chris Curtis, to be honest. And I'm sure the UFC isn't going to be like, okay, we're looking at a rematch with Abdul Razak Al Hassan or some shit. Like, they're not like, okay, Cody Brundage. Like, they're going to give this guy a jump up again. They're going to get him in big spots. So yeah, don't be surprised to see this fight. Something like it, at least, happen soonish. Let's move on, though, to another fight. Gene Silva, the autism maxer himself. I'm going to match him up against another fighter on the card that I didn't include on the screen. Andre Feely. Yeah, this would be a good fight. I think Silva smokes him, to be honest. Silva kills this dude. We saw Feely get slumped by Ige. Not saying Silva's quite as good as Ige, but he's definitely got the power. Great win over Charles Jourdain, by the way. I talked about it in my recap, but I picked him to win. I thought he would get a decision just based off damage, but no, he went out there and fucking slumped Charles Jourdain's Canadian ass on the canvas. I say Canadian ass like, I don't dislike Jourdain, he's actually pretty based, but yeah, slumped him, killed him. So great win from Gene Silva. Dude's gonna be a fucking fun guy to watch. Honestly, I know it's a big ask. Wouldn't even hate doing him versus Chepe Mariscal. If they can't get Dan Ige back in there, do Gene Silva versus Chepe Mariscal, winner gets a ranked opponent. That's easy. Winner gets Dan Ige. Something like that. But that's if Dan Ige doesn't want to take that fight, which I doubt he will, even though bro's a casual. Bro's a fucking, I say casual, bro's a BMF. Bro's a dude that's going to take those fights. But if he just wants to be like, okay, no, fuck you, I just fought, I'm not turning around in a month. But maybe he's like, fuck it, I was fighting this dude anyway, I'll fight him, sure. I don't know, I lost track of my train of thought, I'm tired. But let's move on to another fight. Payton Talbott, the real Lucas Tracy crush. No, I don't know. Well, yes, that's just the case. But Payton Talbott, great win, to be honest. I'm not hating on the dude, I'm just trolling Lucas because he's glazing him. No, but Talbot's fucking legit, he's real good. But it's kind of funny because, like, people, like, Lucas is like, this guy's never looked bad in the UFC. Every single one of his fights, he's dominated dudes. Like, I mean, his first fight in the UFC looked kind of shit. He got fucking, like, dominated on the ground in round 1. Got a comeback submission. Like, I'm not trying to be like, actually. But it's like, people saw the Simon fight and immediately was like, I said this guy was good from the very beginning. It's like, let's not forget, he was like a minus 600 in his debut and looked kind of mid. But not hating on the dude, he looked really good here. Looked great against Simon. He's definitely legit. I say, yeah, give him what he asked. He said Yanez, do it on the Sphere card as well. That's something I could see them doing. They're gonna make this dude like their little bantamweight striking version of Bo Nickel. Like, they're gonna put this guy on all the big cards. Probably not gonna put him on those main cards, because he doesn't quite have the audience of like the 40-year-old, like 50-year-old fucking white ex-American wrestler. But they're going to do this guy on like the Sphere card. They're going to do him on that fucking MSG card. Like, they're going to get this dude on the big cards. You already know. And yeah, Yanez is a great fight. I think he would smoke Yanez, to be honest. Yanez looked kind of mid in his last fight. He's looked mid recently. I think he'd get touched up, probably KO'd. But it's a good test and it's a name that people know. It's a guy that's fought Rob Font. So it's a good name on your resume. Definitely better than anyone he's fought. So Talbot, definitely legit. See how legit in the future. See how quickly that he gets to prove if he's that legit. But yeah, great win for Talbot. But let's move on to another fighter. Last up, we got Vinicius Oliveira, and I say you do him versus Jonathan Martinez, because Vinicius Oliveira just went out there and whooped up Ricky Simon and 30-27'd him. Great win, great performance. And Martinez coming off a loss, he has a ranking. Simone's a guy that did have a ranking until he lost to Bautista. So yeah, this guy's not far outside the rank. I think he arguably deserves a ranked opponent. So yeah, do Martinez. That's my opinion. But yeah, that is every single fight to make in my eyes. I left out the women because who cares? You can do fair play Chiasson. She's actually now the 3rd ranked women's bantamweight, but I just don't care. If I've got 12 spots to fill up, I ain't gonna fucking make room for a women's bantamweight fighter. But yeah, that's the card. Like, fucking next fights to make video, guys. Let me know your matchups in the comments. Like, subscribe, follow my Instagram, Left Lane MMA. You know, turn on notifications. Keep an eye on my community posts, because that's where you're going to get all the Hunter Campbell inside info updates. But apart from that, yeah, peace out, guys.